Welcome back to In the Shadow of Myths. When we cast our minds back to the ancient cradle of civilization, the sun-baked plains of Sumer, our imaginations are often captured by the imposing figures of sword-wielding kings like Gilgamesh, or the omnipotent male deities ruling from towering ziggurats, but hidden within the intricate, wedge-shaped impressions of ancient cuneiform tablets and buried deep beneath the sands of Mesopotamia lies a different kind of history. It is a history shaped by extraordinary women who wielded immense earthly power and blurred the fragile boundary between mortal rulers and divine beings. Today we are stepping into the ancient world to uncover the legendary queens and vital female figures of Sumerian mythology and history. These were the women who commanded vast empires, communicated directly with the heavens, and conquered the terrifying realms of the underworld. Kubaba, the tavern keeper who became a goddess. Our journey into ancient power begins with Kubaba, a figure of immense historical and mythological significance. She holds the unique distinction of being the only woman to ever appear on the famous Sumerian king list as a reigning monarch in her own right. Her story is one of the most fascinating ascensions in the ancient world, tracing her transformation from a humble mortal woman into a legendary queen and eventually a universally revered goddess. According to the ancient records, Kubaba was not born into royalty, nor did she inherit a throne. She was an alewife, a woman who brewed beer and kept a local tavern in the ancient city of Kish. The most important myth surrounding Kubaba explains exactly how the divine right of kingship was transferred to someone of such humble origins. The legend states that the gods of Sumer had grown deeply displeased with the current rulers of the land who were neglecting their religious duties and failing to honor the divine order. One day, a local fisherman was tasked with delivering a sacred offering of freshly caught fish to the great temple of the supreme god Marduk. Kubaba, demonstrating profound piety and an unwavering respect for the gods, intercepted the fisherman and offered him freshly baked bread and pure water, ensuring that the gods would receive their due offerings without delay. In return for her reverence and her pure heart, the supreme deities intervened in the mortal realm. They violently stripped the kingship from the failing and corrupt rulers and bestowed the crown upon the tavern keeper. Legend claims she ruled over a prosperous and deeply stable kingdom for 100 years, establishing the third dynasty of Kish. Over the centuries, her mythic status grew to such an extent that she was completely deified. Long after the Sumerian civilization crumbled, Kubaba was worshipped as a formidable protector goddess across the ancient Near East, eventually serving as the foundational inspiration for the great mother goddess Cybele in ancient Phrygia. Puabi, the queen of the great death pit. From the miraculous mythic rise of Kubaba, we travel south to the powerful city-state of Ur, where we encounter the enigmatic queen Puabi. Living around 2600 BC, Puabi is a figure whose undeniable historical reality is permanently and somewhat terrifyingly intertwined with the dark, complex Sumerian myths of death and the afterlife. When her tomb was discovered by archaeologists in the 1920s in the Royal Cemetery of Ur, it was a revelation. It was one of the few royal tombs completely untouched by ancient looters. She was identified not by historical texts, but by a magnificent lapis lazuli cylinder seal pinned to a royal garment, bearing the simple yet absolute title Nin, meaning queen. The greatest story associated with Puabi is not a tale of her earthly conquests, but of her mythological descent into the underworld, a dark, inescapable realm known as Kur, ruled by the terrifying goddess Ereshkigal. According to Sumerian belief, the afterlife was a bleak, terrifying place of dust and shadows, where the dead ate clay and saw no light. However, a monarch was expected to enter this dark realm with the exact same majesty, wealth, and power they held on earth. The physical evidence left in Puabi's tomb brings this chilling myth to vivid reality. Puabi did not journey to the realm of the dead alone. Surrounding her central burial chamber was a massive death pit containing the bodies of dozens of loyal attendants, musicians holding lyres, heavily armed soldiers, and handmaidens. Archaeological and mythological evidence suggests these individuals willingly drank poison from small clay cups to accompany their queen into the afterlife. To the ancient Sumerians, Puabi was so elevated, so intimately close to the divine, that her people gladly surrendered their mortal lives to serve her in the underworld, ensuring she would remain a powerful, commanding entity in the shadows of eternity. Enheduanna, the priestess who wielded divine fire. Our next figure is Enheduanna, a woman who lived in the city of Ur slightly later, during the Akkadian Empire's absolute dominance over the Sumerian city-states. She was the brilliant daughter of King Sargon the Great and served as the high priestess of Nanna, the Sumerian moon god. While Enheduanna is strictly a historical figure and famously holds the ultimate title of the world's first named author of either gender, her life story is defined by a profound, earth-shattering mythological struggle. Enheduanna's central mythic narrative revolves around a devastating political and spiritual rebellion. A vicious usurper named Lugal-Ane successfully overthrew the city's leadership. In his bid for total control, he violently exiled Enheduanna from a sacred temple, stripping her of her prestigious title and casting her out into the harsh, unforgiving wilderness. It is in this moment of absolute despair that her true myth begins. Instead of accepting defeat, Enheduanna used the unmatched power of the written word to invoke the heavens. She composed the Exaltation of Inanna, a passionate, terrifyingly beautiful hymn, begging the fierce goddess of love and war for cosmic intervention. In her mythic poem, she describes how the supreme sky god turned a deaf ear to her pleas, leaving her abandoned. But the warrior goddess Inanna answered her desperate call. The myth tells of Inanna raining down fire, ash, and total destruction upon the usurper, shaking the very foundations of the earth and ripping the gates of the city apart to restore her faithful priestess. Enheduanna's triumphant return proved to the ancient world that her spiritual power and her intimate relationship with the divine was vastly superior to the brute, physical strength of any mortal army. Ereshkigal, the terrifying queen of the underworld. To truly understand the female power structures in Sumerian thought, we must look beyond the mortal coil to the ultimate divine queen, Ereshkigal. While Kubaba, Puabi, and Enheduanna were mortal women who touched the divine, Ereshkigal was the pure embodiment of ancient myth. She was the older sister of the radiant goddess Inanna. But while Inanna ruled the heavens and the earthly domains of love and war, Ereshkigal was the absolute, undisputed queen of the great below. The most vital myth surrounding Ereshkigal is the epic descent of Inanna. In this story, the ambitious Inanna attempts to conquer the underworld, descending through its 7 gates. Ereshkigal, furious at her sister's arrogance, proves that no one, not even the most powerful goddess of heaven, can defy the laws of death. At each gate, Ereshkigal forces Inanna to strip away an item of her divine clothing and power. When Inanna finally enters the throne room, she is naked and powerless. Ereshkigal fixes upon her the eye of death, striking her radiant sister dead and hanging her corpse on a meat hook. This myth serves as a stark, powerful reminder to the ancient Sumerians. The queen of the underworld is the ultimate authority. Her realm is absolute and her power eclipses all earthly and heavenly ambitions. It is only through clever trickery by the other gods that Inanna is eventually resurrected. But Ereshkigal's terrifying supremacy remains entirely unbroken. These incredible figures, the humble tavern keeper who ascended to godhood, the earthly queen who commanded an army in the realm of the dead, the brilliant priestess whose poetry could summon divine fire, and the terrifying goddess of the underworld, remind us that ancient history was not exclusively shaped by men. Their enduring legacies molded the religious, political, and cultural landscape of the ancient Near East, and their voices still echo through the long corridors of time. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the ancient past. If you enjoyed uncovering the secrets of these forgotten queens, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which legendary or mythological figure we should explore next. Until next time, keep seeking the truth in the shadow of myths.